A composed woman named Camille Bryant extended her hand across the sleek surface of the boardroom table. Across from her, Derek Langston, CEO of Titani's Dynamics, barely looked at it. "I don't shake hands with admin-level personnel," he said with a crooked smile, nodding toward his senior team of suited men. The air seemed to turn colder. Camille calmly pulled her hand back. "I'm not on your staff," she replied, her voice low but steady. Derek chuckled, glancing at the men flanking him. "Then why exactly are you in my building?" Camille opened her leather binder slowly, a gesture sharpened by intent. "I'm evaluating whether my firm should proceed with the $2 billion capital commitment." Her voice never rose, but every executive in the room sat up straighter. Derek's grin vanished. Even the two uniformed security officers by the door visibly stiffened. Outside earlier that morning, Camille had stepped from a modest charcoal gray sedan into the parking lot of Titani's Dynamics, a tech firm headquartered in the upscale Innovation Park district. At 47, Camille carried herself with assurance. Her navy blue suit was elegant but simple, and her hair was pulled into a tight bun. She was here on behalf of her investment firm, Meridian Equity Group, to assess Titani's viability, not just financially but culturally. She scanned the towering glass facade of Titani's. Sleek, yes, but sterile. From her research, she'd seen whispers of dysfunction cloaked beneath success. At reception, the front desk attendant, Chloe, barely glanced up. "I have a 10 o'clock with Mr. Langston," Camille said. Chloe's eyebrows lifted. "Are you part of the administrative walk-ins?" "Interviews are on 3. "No, my meeting is with Mr. Langston. Directly." Camille Bryant. The receptionist looked skeptical, glancing at the screen. "Oh, you can wait over there," she said, motioning toward a side bench area near the vending machine. Just 20 feet away, two white men in tailor blazers were being served lattes in the plush visitor lounge. Camille said nothing but noticed everything. The hesitation, the assumptions. She took a seat quietly. Over the next 40 minutes, she watched employees come and go. 90% white, overwhelmingly male. Eyes flickered toward her, quickly turning away. She could practically chart the unspoken discomfort. Finally, a young man arrived and led her to a small room with no windows. Not the executive boardroom she'd expected. 3 men were already seated inside, all wearing gray suits that looked copied from the same catalog. Derek Langston sat across from her, half glancing at his phone as he motioned lazily to a seat. They barely tried to hide their lack of regard. One man stifled a yawn. Camille didn't flinch. She'd endured worse in her 22 years in investment. This was old terrain. "So what's this about? A diversity audit or something?" Derek asked without looking up. Camille replied evenly. "It's a funding review." He snorted lightly. "Of course. Funding." He launched into a presentation, the kind designed for non-technical stakeholders, basic diagrams, cartoon graphics, and buzzwords stacked on buzzwords. "We're at the forefront of next-gen AI deployment," he said, his tone slow, patronizing. "We use proprietary algorithms." "Do you understand what I mean by algorithms?" One of the men whispered to another. They both chuckled. Camille leaned forward. "Your overview mentioned custom architecture. Can you explain how your model handles low-latency predictions at scale, particularly compared to standard transformer approaches?" Derek's eyes widened. He fumbled with his clicker. "Well, I'm not the technical guy. My CTO can go into, the advanced layers." She nodded slowly. "Then let's switch to finance. Your Q2 filing showed a 20% drop in research spending, yet your report claimed an expansion in R&D initiatives. How do those align?" Derek slammed the clicker, flipping through several slides. "That's probably too deep for today's meeting. Let's get back to the diversity conversation." His expression tightened. Camille saw it. The tension, the unraveling confidence. He couldn't match her, so he tried to reduce her. "Let's take a break," he announced. "We'll get coffee. Melissa, can you grab some for a guest? Camille, how do you take it?" "Let me guess. Lots of cream and sugar." A few executives smirked. Others looked away. Camille closed her binder slowly. The sound of the leather cover filled the silence. Her gaze met Derek's. "Before we continue, I'd like to see your executive team's representation data." His jaw flexed. The next round took place in a larger room. Derek had summoned Marcus Hall, Titanes' head of inclusion, the only non-white senior staff member present. Marcus recited stats from memory. We've seen an 8% increase in underrepresented hires year over year. Camille raised an eyebrow. And how many have moved into decision-making roles? Marcus blinked. We've initiated mentoring programs to support that journey. We're improving, Derek interrupted. You know the saying, Rome wasn't built in a day. More executives joined. The mood shifted to casual. Golf jokes flew. Camille sat unacknowledged for a full 5 minutes. Eventually, Derek said, Gentlemen, this is Camille. She's here for diversity. No title, no surname, no mention of the billions at stake. 2 men nodded without looking at her. One leaned toward another and said, Smile and nod. These quotas usually leave by lunch. Camille made a discreet note in her binder. Derek smirked. Tell us about your background, your journey. I'd rather discuss your company's approach to scaling responsibly within current market trends, she replied. He cut her off with a laugh. We've got analysts for that. We're more curious about your unique perspective. That's when a tall, white man entered. Derek jumped to greet him. Frank, glad you could join. Camille stood to leave. If you'll excuse me, she said. I need a moment. Once out of sight, she entered a restroom stall and took 3 deep breaths, not from stress, but preparation. Then, she called her CFO. Activate phase 1, she said. Let's start the signals. Passive at first. I've got everything I need. Later, when she returned, the room buzzed with quiet tension. Monitors flickered. Titanes stock had dipped. Is there a problem? Camille asked, her voice feather-light. Nothing you need to worry about, Derek said. Very well. I'd like to speak with you privately. Derek escorted her to his office. She remained composed. I was sidelined in your lobby, given a children's version of your pitch, interrupted, patronized, dismissed, and finally told you don't shake hands with staff, she recounted calmly. I recorded the entire interaction. Legally, your state is single-party consent. His phone buzzed again. Shareholders, analysts, warnings. Excuse me, he muttered, picking up the call. Camille looked around. Awards, trophies, 0 women, 0 minorities in his executive photos. What do you mean? She's CEO of Meridian, he hissed. He looked back at Camille, panic rising. Miss Bryant, there's been a huge misunderstanding. She rose. No misunderstanding. You knew exactly who you thought I was, and you acted accordingly. He blocked the door. Please, we can work something out. Too late, she said, stepping around him. On screens outside, Titanes stock fell again, now 7%. Employees stared as Camille walked out. She reached her car. Her team handed her a bound report. Documented bias, discrepancies, all of it ready for regulators if needed. This isn't just about one man, she said. It's about a system that rewards arrogance and punishes difference. And with that, the balance of power began to shift. Camille Bryant didn't just walk out of Titanes dynamics. She walked into history. In a world where polished veneers often hide rot beneath, she proved that silence isn't strength, and power doesn't have to look familiar to be real. Her restraint wasn't weakness. It was precision. Her calm was not passive. It was loaded. By choosing strategy over spectacle, Camille dismantled a toxic empire without raising her voice. She didn't just hold Titanes accountable. She shifted the terms of the conversation across an entire industry. In the weeks that followed, headlines buzzed, stocks reeled, and corporate boardrooms scrambled to rethink what leadership looks like. But Camille remained focused, not on revenge, but reform. She had no interest in becoming a symbol. She was building systems. Systems where competence outweighs connections, and where culture is as crucial as profit. The legacy she carved wasn't about the fall of one man. It was about the rise of a new standard. A warning to companies still operating like boys' clubs in a changing world. Someone is always watching, measuring, and ready to act. The question now isn't what Camille did, but who's brave enough to follow her lead.